Hey, it's Chief Bonner with Board Games and RPGs, and this is my continuing segment, part 3 actually, on role-playing in real life, safety tools, 5 of them I like, and now 5 of them I don't. So the first one is checking in or check-in. Now what this means is we're playing, I'm GMing, and I see a player, I don't know, seems disengaged or nervous or something. Disgusted, maybe? I don't know. So first, a little caveat here. I don't really have a problem with checking with them. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, or no. So I don't really have a problem. I mean, there's nothing wrong with checking on somebody, so I've got no problem with that. I'll give you an example even. I was in Ireland, and I tried a whiskey, or I sniffed a whiskey that smell is so important, and it literally transported me back to like when I was 7 at my grandfather's farm in his hay barn. What? And it sent me somewhere, and it triggered in this fun memory, but then all the sad memories. Grandfather's passed away, and the guy said, that whiskey's doing something for you. And I was like, yeah. So he checked in, but it wasn't like a bad thing. Matter of fact, even the kind of sad emotion I had, or the memory I had, it wasn't a bad memory. Matter of fact, it was nice to be in touch with it. That smell took me somewhere. So, as far as that kind of check-in, I don't have a problem with that, but I think it's kind of good if something hits you on that visceral level. Now, if it's debilitating, that probably needs to be something that person needs to work out. But me hitting this emotional moment over a whiskey caught me off guard, and the guy noticed it. So I have no problem with noticing it. What I don't like, and I went and looked, is it's supposed to be, okay, I've seen a look on someone's face and they're uncomfortable. Then I have to stop, are you okay? And then maybe I end the scene for everybody real quick and say, something's going on here with Jim. I don't think I would do that. So I know I wouldn't do it that way. What I might do is circle back later with a text. Hey, I noticed there was like a visceral moment with you. You good? You know, I mean, maybe something like that. So I don't hate this one, but I wouldn't pull in the reins, to use the analogy, and stop the show. Sometimes these things will wash over you, and you can just check into them later. So checking in will be the number 1 on my list. Pretty low on the list. I wouldn't use. I don't like it. Script change. The safety tool is called script change. And it has a symbol on it like an old DVD player with rewind, pause, and fast forward. So first, someone could touch the card. Hey, pause. I don't know if I would like that. I would rather just, hey, can I get some clarification? But the pause would be, hey, I'm not sure what's going on, or fill me in, or what are we doing? I would encourage that. Okay, maybe I'm failing on a description as a GM or something. Okay, so I have no problem with that. Rewind. Rewind is go back a little bit in time and change the thing my character does. Ugh, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that at all. You're making decisions and things are happening, and you're living with the consequences of your actions. I can't imagine doing a rewind at all. I don't even know when it would come. Oh, the bad guy just shot, and you took an arrow in your arm. But yeah, rewind. No. What? I imagine if I'm with a group of friends, let's say we're at our house. So we're not at the theater where there is no option to rewind. I kind of like that. But let's say we're at home and somebody kept saying, hey, rewind, hey, pause, I'm not sure what's going on. Fast forward is, ooh, I'm uncomfortable with this. The aliens are moving through under the thing and it's tension. Fast forward, fast forward. Well, imagine you're with a group and you're watching a movie. Now again, if you're by yourself, great. If you're playing a solo game, okay. But if you're with people, just like if you're all watching a show together, if somebody was pausing it, hey, I'm unclear what's happening here. Come on. You know, you'd be like, what? Or, hey, rewind it a little bit. Or, hey, fast forward through this action. No. It's just disruptive as all get out. And you can tell you could have one person that could start throwing things off. So script change. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Don't want it at the table. X card. Now, everything I looked at said the X card's used the most. It's like an index card or a piece of paper with a big X on it. You put it in a table, center of the table. If somebody suddenly says, or they're having a problem with something, they just touch it or they pick it up, and then you have to stop what you're doing. So it's kind of like check it in. But you could be back at something where, ooh, this Call of Cthulhu role-playing game is getting creepy. And they go touch the X card. And you gotta then move through the scene, end it, soften it up, change it, skip it. Again, I see this as a derailment. Now, again, I love the safety tool of the door's always open. So if you're like, this is too creepy, I can't take it, well, then the door's always open. You can just leave. We're ready for that. But the idea that everybody else stops and we skip stuff, and especially, again, the safety tool I've said is, hey, it's PG-13 and this one's going to be Cthulhu, cultist, creepy, human sacrifice, or whatever. If you know that coming in and it gets to be too much, rather than an X card where you're stopping stuff and holding it up and stop, it would be use the safety tool of leave. So this is ended up being more than you can handle. Okay, it relates back to a movie. If we were sitting there and somebody said, yep, it's gotten a little scary and spooky, fast forward. Again, you're with a group. If you're solo, great. So when I look at like Starforged, Ironsworn, if you're doing it solo and you want to skip over something, do whatever you want. But if you got other people there, you can't just hijack it. Hate the X card. Hate it. Wouldn't have it on the table. All right, the last two are going to be kind of intertwined, but all of these are kind of intertwined. Excluded topics / toned down. So the excluded, I get, you're supposed to sit down before the game, kind of like a session 0, and say, what are we going to exclude? So they have some examples. Sexual violence. Okay. I mean, I can totally get that. I understand. They've got child abuse, animal cruelty are the 3. Then I started thinking of my games. So there was one situation where 5 riders were chasing down a younger female rider who was clearly being pursued. This is a very dangerous game where the player characters are not safe. They can die in this game. Now, there's no sexual violence there, but it came up that one of the players said, hey, why don't we just side with the 5? We don't know what's going on here. We have no idea. Why get in a fight with 5? We're outnumbered by 1, and maybe this female outrider, young girl, did something, she stole something from her or something. And the players at the table were like, one of them said, I don't know what they plan on doing to her. I'm imagining the worst. Okay, so he's imagining probably sexual violence. He goes, and I'm not standing for it. My character will die before we let them get her. And they knew nothing. All they knew is the scene had opened up. This is exactly what I was looking for. The player tension between them took over, and they were talking as their characters. Because the one character was very selfish, just out for himself. He's actually making the safer move of, why would we go against the 5? We don't even know what's going on here. Why would we go to battle over someone we don't know? But then this other character was like, nope, doesn't look right, and we're not letting it happen. And then that one, they had an argument as player characters, not as the gamers, as the player characters, to what their motivations, what their roles were. They were really role-playing it out. It was awesome. So the hint that there could be sexual violence, I never laid that in, but the scene set it up. So if somebody, if I had that X card out there and they tapped it, that looks like it could lead to sexual violence. I want to skip forward to this. Nope. It could be in play. Wouldn't you want to rescue this young lady if something was going on that was that bad? Yeah. So I could see some motivation. Child abuse. I had a whole nother game where it was in a Western setting. And there was a character that was a little mentally slow that was being locked in a barn. And the players were like irate. And they were like, nope, And the players shifted and turned, and it was really visceral, and they all talked about how they came together. Even though they got into a big fight, they had a reason, and they were highly motivated all at the same time. So the second part of this, the slash, is toned down. Now this one, I started laughing out loud as I read it. This seemed like I was getting punked, like it couldn't be real. The things that were subjects that could be brought up all pre-game that might need to be toned down were things like clowns, spiders, dentists, torture. Okay, I can get that. But dentists, spiders, clowns? You gotta be kidding me. If someone came in and said, hey, if we're in this fantasy game and you got a giant spider, you're going to need to tone it down. I would go back to my preferred safety tool of the open door. What I want to happen at the table is for some level of danger and uncomfortableness. So first of all, in my games, almost always, the player character is at risk. They can die. The whole party could get killed if they make bad decisions. And that risk needs to be there. And then as the attachment comes into the player character, you should be nervous. And if a spider creeps you out, I'm probably going to throw more spiders in, not less. I'm not toning it down. There's going to be a spider nest. And I want to go, oh, God, I want to bring it in, make it visceral. And to a certain extent, I even think confronting these in this made-up, believed world can make you stronger. Not weaker, stronger. Confront the things that scare you and you become brave. You don't remove the fear, you display courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's moving forward when still afraid. Why not do that in this fictional realm? That comes to the very last thing, which is in line with this, because it almost uses these terms, but it's called lines and veils. So lines would be things we will not cross. So you come and tell me spiders can't be crossed, no spiders, not in this one. I'm back to my open door. The idea of a line that shall not be crossed. Hey, there will not be a dentist in this. I don't want anybody getting their teeth pulled. What? What if it's for torture? No torture either. I wouldn't want to play with lines and veils. So what are veils? Veils are the same thing, but it's just kind of softened. So, hey, I don't mind if there's a dentist in it, but if they go to sit down at the table, as soon as they're in and the pliers comes up, you cut the scene. Let's not go into the actual removing of the tooth. I don't think I'd want to go into the removing of the tooth either. But that would be the veil. When we were doing the Wild West thing, one of the characters had a weakness for women, and women loved him. So he was always having to deal with this challenge. And it was a saloon that had girls upstairs. And so he's like, I'm going upstairs. And everybody at the table kind of joked that he was going to get a massage. Oh, and wait, no, he was getting a bath. He was going to get a hot bath. And they were doing that because my son was playing and he's 16. And when the game was over, he's like, I know what's going on. I'm sure you do, but you're 16. We're running PG-13. So going up the stairs can be hinted at, but we don't need to go into anything else. And that was perfect. Matter of fact, it became a little bit of the humor. Because we would come into a new town, there'd be a saloon, and he'd be like, is there a place that runs a good hot bath? And everybody would chuckle, and he had all that little innuendo, but it was even PG, so it was perfect. I imagine if you're watching a movie with your group, and suddenly something pops up that you're not comfortable with. But I live in a world where, as you saw in episode 1, I had to get comfortable with mass casualty events that looked real. Or with active shooter training, and they prep you for what is going to really happen. And to a certain extent, again, I believe role-playing games are very, very good for your mental structure. Not only are they socially good, they're mentally good, and you're traveling and you're moving into places that are these mental spaces. So really, they're safe, but you're able to dabble in and reach. Okay, you don't like spiders? What if you're Indiana Jones or he doesn't like snakes? All of a sudden there's snakes everywhere. It's just like that. When he says he hates snakes, you almost know at the end of the movie or somewhere in there he's going to be faced with snakes. And everybody's like, ooh, because you don't want to be in that room with all these snakes with your torch running out either. Yes, it's uncomfortable, it's scary, that's exactly what they're doing. My games should do the same and put you and your character into places where they're like, ooh, again, nothing crazy, nothing freaky. I don't want anybody being weird or a jerk. All right, I'll handle all that. Again, the open door. But these are some of the safety tools I do not like and would not use. The check-in, although I get it. The X card, ugh, hate it, yuck. Script change, ooh, rewind, pause, fast forward, no way. Excluded topics. Tone down, not so much of a problem. Those are the ones I don't like. But hopefully you've enjoyed this 3-part segment. Hopefully. If you did, please give it a thumb. Subscribe if you like it. I need all the subscribes I can get. I'm kind of just barely climbing up, but it's up to you. Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs. See you later. Thanks for tuning in.